Okay, so I'm going to put a problem up on the board, and it sort of reflects that idea of a. I couldn't find another word for it, of a suicide run. So let's just take this scenario here. Maybe copy it down into your exercise book would be okay. It's going to be summary book. Just because it's in your exercise book, I mean, if you need to put a title, just put board work. But I'm introducing a new idea, so I'll just develop it first, Jack. That's okay, and then I'll give you a title. Okay, does that make sense so far?
What's that word next to 2 meters A?
Oh, it could be helpful if I could spell, couldn't it? Hang on, first of all, I mean and back.
Oh, okay.
Is that better?
Yeah.
One day I'll get my pencil license and then I'll be fine. Did you guys used to get pen licenses or pencil?
Yeah, we did. I never got one.
Never got one.
You didn't get one. I was like the first one to get one.
And who had to have a grippy thing on their pencils and pens?
Oh, I
and
did.
stuff?
It was my friends.
I faked the darn group so I could get one of those things.
That's what I did.
I tell you another thing. I don't think I learned. You also had a tie your shoelaces license. Anyone had that?
I booked it for me.
Is it?
So, like when I was in, like I think it took me up to grade. I don't know what's embarrassing.
10.
Oh,
No, it was probably grade.
6.
Let's just say grade 2. It might have been a bit earlier than that, but say grade 2 to learn how to tie my shoelaces. Maybe it was younger than that. I can't remember. But I was definitely the last in the class. They had this. You know that that old nursery rhyme. There was an old lady who lived in the shoe.
Yeah.
That one. So they had like a big boot that used to be like from the nursery rhyme, and you had to practice tying your shoelaces on the shoe. And I was the last person to learn how to do it, and I never learned. You know how like it's through the rabbit hole, whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't do that.
No.
I do that.
Well, the only way I passed my shoe tying license was to make 2 bows with each of the different parts of the shoelace, and then tie them together in a grain knot. And that's how I did it all the way up until like halfway through grade 6 when someone finally showed me how to do it like the way you're supposed to do it.
But the one way around is so much.
So if you ever think you're not that successful in life, you can say, well, at least I know how to tie my shoelaces up, and I learned that before my math teacher did.
I want to think you like a couple of times when I was.
Because with the 2, it's hard to like.
I think I was alright with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, when I was young, it was a sundial, so. Okay, so anyway, everyone okay with the scenario? This is like a suicide run scenario then, right? Okay. So, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to write the laps. So there and back is a lap, right? So write the laps. And I'll give it by a bit here as an arithmetic progression. I'll give you 30 seconds to do that. You can talk to the person next to you if you're not too sure.
The total number of laps.
No? So lap 1, and then write the distance in lap 1. Lap 2, write the distance in lap 2. And you should find it forms an arithmetic progression.
Oh, in the total.
Yeah, 2 plus 2 is 4.
Yeah, so if the student runs 2 metres and back, how far have they travelled in that first lap?
4 meters.
Right, so that's the first run. The second run will be, etc.
Is there a calculator for the student just keep running on?
Did someone say, can I use a calculator for this?
No, is there like a cap to how far it runs, or does he just run for infinity?
For infinity, yeah, there's no limit at the moment. If it helps you, I'll say write down the first 3 terms.
Oh, sure.
So a lap is there and back.
Yeah, alright.
A lap is there and back. So it's not 2, 2, it's 4 as the first term, etc. Okay. Feel free to say, I'll take the 5th. Feel free to say you don't want to answer, but I'm going to pick on people. Who do I feel like picking on today? I feel like picking on Jack. What did you get?
4, 6, 8 for the AP and the difference is 2.
Hey, I didn't ask you to do that. Well done. So, as Hilary sort of has pointed out to you before, working out the key values in arithmetic progression is really useful. Jack's just given us one. He's worked out that the difference is 2. What's the other key piece of information, Saxon?
The first term.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, great. So we know the first term. We know what the common difference is. Well done. So you should be able to work out basically. So if he's done, or he or she or they have done 3 laps there, 4, then 6, then 8. What would be the distance that they travel on the 13th lap? So how far do they run on the 13th lap? Not the whole distance, just the distance on the 13th lap. Yeah.
428. 14.
Work it out.
13th lap.
Yeah. Work it out. I'm not saying whether you're right or wrong. I'm saying that I want to see it written down. Okay. Just having a quick check around the room. Good to see some good working out. I'm going to write the working out in a second because you might get the right answer, but have you written it down appropriately? And again, I try not, in Maths Extended, where I know everyone's doing a pretty decent job already, I try not to overdo the working out stages, but it's good to have communication anyway. Akira, I'm going to ask you, was Otto right by your opinion?
I did the distance from one side to that mark.
So what did you do?
Yeah, Otto was right.
He didn't come back.
Oh, you didn't come back?
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay. So your numbers would be different, but you reckon Otto's right?
Yeah. In the total.
Okay, what about you, Hannah? Do you think Otto's right?
What did
He said 28.
No. I think it's
32?
32. Wait for the 13th lap.
Yep, okay, thank you. What about you, Hamish? Did you
I
get...
haven't worked it out. I just don't understand how to work it out. I'm
Okay.
sure it's easy, but...
Yep, but we'll figure it out in a second. What about you, Henry? Did you get okay?
28.
You had 28? Chris?
No, 28.
Chris had 28 as well. A lot of people had 28, and you know what?
Oh, I said last one, not
Okay, I'll go through. It's okay. Having a difference in the room is okay. And remember, it's not always, maths is not a subject that you can do by consensus. You know, it's actually got to be calculated correctly, even if you're the only one who's calculated correctly. So, but Hannah says she's found a mistake. That's okay. By the way, none of you said 28 meters. Oh, but still, I wasn't really counting it as wrong. But it is 20. Was that Charlie? Sorry.
28 meters.
Well, Charlie could be right because he's got the units in the list. But let's have a look. So we've got reminding you of the formula. A sub n is equal to the first term plus n minus 1 multiplied by the common difference. So we can look at specifically the 13th lap would be A13. We know what the first one is. It's 4. We know that n minus 1 must be 12. So it's 12 multiplied by the common difference, which is 2. And I reckon we can work it out from there that it's 28. And now I'll put my units in at the end there. So 28 metres is right. And Hannah, you found your mistake, so you're all good. Anyone else? And Hamish and Henry, does that make sense now?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. You're right, it is pretty straightforward, but sometimes you just need to see it in order for it to be right. Anyone else got any questions on that? ETG? Okay. So, here's a slightly different question. I'll write it and then I'll talk to it for a second, but write it down. Now, just quickly checking. Does that make sense what I'm looking for here?
Like all of them added up into 5.
Yeah, exactly right, Tyler. So, we're not looking at an individual lap, we're looking at the total distance covered in those 5, in the first 5 laps. Does that make sense? Not just one, but all 5. Go for it. I'm not trying to trick you here. You choose whatever tactic you think will get you the answer as efficiently as you can. I reckon your work was in there though. Just using the scratchy paper. What's working out? Let's get that.
4 plus 6 plus 8 plus 9.
So this is the classic. I've been through this before in the class. I think the classic. If I was an English teacher and I said write a story, and you said the end, that's what you've done. Would your English teacher be happy with that?
Well, very. Yes.
That's not. It's a rhetorical question, and you can't argue with it really. Did you correct your thing? Did you correct your numbers?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm just looking at after the question was put up.
I haven't.
Come on, man. It's on. All 5 laps. Can you work out what the first lap?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's just these together.
Okie dokie. Who got 40? Who reckons they've got some good working out to show it? We know someone who doesn't.
I do now.
Okay. Chris, just verbally, well, yeah, just verbally. How'd you do it?
Well, I just used the formula and added it in and then just added it up. But
Of course you did.
apart from that, you didn't specify what 5 laps as well.
Yeah, first 5 laps. Chris has just owned me there. I should have said first 5 laps. I like it. Okay, so me being a numpty aside, something like listing the first 5 terms would be appropriate, wouldn't it? So the student had travelled 40 metres in the first 5 laps. 40 metres. There's the units, metres. There's my working out above, just demonstrate how I did that. Let's add them up. Okay, next one. Anybody got any questions before I move on?
Richard, you had your numbers wrong.
Sorry?
Back there, you added 4.
Yeah.
What'd I do?
6, 8,
6.
10, 12.
In the numbers, it should be 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Minor. Sorry.
No, important. Thank you. Next one. Write it down. Go.
Is it the first 21?
Oh, thank you. Chris, she's learned from you.
Are you really good?
I am.
Okay, keep going.
I've lost track.
Since I'm sharing personal stories with you, I thought I might just tell you one more as well, which really used to frustrate me as a student. I remember my grade 10 student particularly, a teacher who used to do this. So that he'd give me, or give the class, a bunch of problems to do, and they were just the most tedious problems to do. Not like me, I always give you exciting things to do, but the most tedious problems to do. And you'd be doing them one after another, and then you do 10 problems out of a set of 20. And that's when the teacher would turn around and say, oh, by the way, did I tell you there's an easier way to do it? And you'd go, I hate it when you say that. And you do that all the time, it's really annoying. Anyway, that's just an aside. By the way, did you know there's an easier way of doing that problem than just adding up the first 20 numbers? So we have a look at that.
I actually did well, not with your help.
Maddie, what'd you get?
460.
Did anyone else get as far as Maddie? 460? Still nearly there. Let's see if Maddie's right by the formula I'm about to show you. Now, I don't like doing this, but this time around, just to shortcut a little bit, I'm going to give you the formula, which is going to look like mathemagic. It just works. And what I'll try and do, if I remember, and feel free to send me an email if I forget, is I'll give you a video which explains how the formula comes to be, right? So I'll do that a little bit later. The formula is this. It's called an arithmetic series. So sequence is when you just list the numbers. Arithmetic series. Yeah, why not? An arithmetic series is when you add up the terms. Okay? Okay, so a sequence is a list 4, 8, 10, 12, and we can come up with a formula for that to work out the nth term. A(n) equals A1 plus n minus 1d. A series is 4 plus 6 plus 8 plus 10 plus 12, etc. It's adding up the terms in the sequence. And there is a formula for that as well, which I'm not going to unpack as to how it works. Now the formula is this. Here we go. The sum, so big S to n terms, is given by, you ready for the mathemagic? N divided by 2. That's not it. Right? Now I'm going to use squiggly brackets. They're called braces. It's just because we're going to have brackets within brackets. It makes it a little bit tidy looking. So n outside of 2 multiplied by the first term, 2a1, plus n minus 1 times by d, close the squiggly bracket. That is the formula. So you double the first term, add n minus 1 times d, which is kind of like the sequence formula, isn't it? The n minus 1 times d. So there's that bit there as well. Multiply that by n divided by 2, you'll get the series. So, just because it's in your summary book, I'll put the example here. Was it to 20 laps, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say to 20 terms, because I'm using the language of sequences and series. So 4 plus 8 plus 10 plus 12 to 20 terms. S20. Oh, thanks. Okay, S20 is equal to 20 over 2 outside of 2 multiplied by the first term plus n minus 1, 19 multiplied by the difference, which is 2. I'll finish calculating this in a second. Now, honestly, because this is an example, I'm just going to go step at a time, but practically, you can pretty much do this in another line or two, if you can keep the calculations in your head. If in your head you can go, well, 20 divided by 2 is 10, and in your head you can go 2 times 4 is 8, 19, 2 is 38, 38 plus 8. So you can do it like that if you want to. I'll just do it step at a time so you can sort of see it, so I'm not bamboozling you. So I'm going to go 20 divided by 2 first, that gives me 10. And then inside the brackets I've got 2 times 4, which is 8, and 19 times 2, which is 38. Then I'm going to go 10 multiplied by, because 8 plus 38 is 46. So it's 10 multiplied by 46, which is equal to 460. So Maddie's manual labour got her there as well. Now, of course, it's debatable whether this is faster than Maddie's method. So many M's, so good. Maddie's method. But if I challenged Maddie to a race and said, I'm going to use the formula, she's going to use manually adding up, and let's do, I don't know, the first 1,000 terms, I reckon I'd win. I reckon the money would be on me, wouldn't it?
Oh, I reckon it'd be
Particularly since Maddie would go, I'm just not going to do that, you idiot. So that's all good. I'm going to leave it there. There is a more difficult example I could provide you, but given the amount of time I've already spent, I think I'd prefer to see you practice, and maybe I might come back to a more difficult example a bit later on. So it's time to practice now. So again, apologies that your booklet's a bit dodgy in terms of having no page numbers, but hopefully this will make sense. I basically want you to do from page 2, exercise 3. It should say things about series in it and stuff. An arithmetic series has blah, 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 blah. And then as a follow-up, if you go to the staples and go to the left-hand side page there, there's question 8 and question 10 as well. So we've got about half an hour left, which is plenty of practice time. So come up, right? So we're talking about, guys, if you just want to see it visually, as soon as you open the booklet, there's exercise 3 at the top here. That's what I want everyone to complete. But if you do it a bit faster or you're finding them a bit easier and you want to skip a couple, just do the harder ones and then switch to the staples, left-hand side, questions 8 and 10. Am I making sense? Now, again, I'll let you get to it, but I'll put an appointments list up on the board and I'll come around and assist people. If I'm not helping anyone, then you can put your hand up and I'll come straight to you. But if I am helping someone, pop your name up on the appointments list, and I will always see people on the appointments list before I see hands up. Okay, Jack, did you want to ask a general question? Do you want me to come to you? Yep, we'll do. Your first cab off the rank. Video and board notes will go up pretty soon.